So welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. The project I will give a quick intro to so that everyone knows where we are. So on this channel we have built a number of chatbots. We started out 2.5 years ago working on our own chatbot that was designed to be specific, pretty much to this stream. So specifically like the DevChatter bot. We built that as originally we built it as a console application. We switched it over to web application. That's what it is right now. It's an ASP.NET Core web application that runs the bot and works great. We have also built another bot. So if you type in the name of any color, you can change the little lights that are around on our stream. And that also works with hex code, so if you want to switch it over. I messed that up. I meant to do red, which I really can't type today, can I? There it goes. Yeah. Okay, so you'll see that you can do hex code. You can do whatever you want for that. Oh, good try, Apoc Div. And the idea is that you just get control of that. So we did that actually as a one-day little one-off build when we first did that. So that is actually an entirely separate bot that I spin up. I did that because I wanted to show people that in a short amount of time, so in a single stream, we went from nothing to a WinForms application that is system tray only. So if you're wondering why WinForms, it's like, well, because WinForms is a little bit lighter weight than WPF, and we aren't going to have a UI. So I tossed that in a WinForms application that was system tray only, so it's down in my system tray, and that's it. And what it does is it spins up a web application and connects out to Twitch and does all the monitoring of chat through that and sends SignalR notifications essentially to its own hosted web server, all in this one app that we did as part of a quick little, look, you can do this in a day kind of task. So very, very fun stream to do that, and I thought it was neat. The challenge there is that having done that, I now have these separate bots. So that's a really cool project, but I kind of want to bring that code into something else. Additionally, there is code that I have worked on for other bots. I've shown people in, again, one-day things, how to build custom scripts for OncBot, for example, or Streamlabs chatbot, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's the same custom scripts regardless of which one you're on. And I know a lot of other developers that build similar types of things. They build custom games for bots. There are people that use MooBot. There are people that have done custom stuff for Nightbot. There's just a ton of bots out there that have custom stuff that developers have built. And so what I want to do is make a bot that has a focus on, users being able to... So I want to make it so that you can take all the stuff that runs in all of those other bots that we've built, and this bot can run it. So that would go for like my bots as well as other people that I know that have a couple of different bots that they're running, and you want to be able to take them and join them all together. So that is the intention with this bot, is to make a user-friendly, modular, customizable bot. Let's have a look at what it looks like right now. Again, most of what we've done so far is prototyping out what the application is going to look like and figuring out how we want different pieces to work together. We have not done a lot of implementation because I wanted to do most of that on stream. So right now, this is the bot. Don't worry about the color. We're going to let the user do the theming themselves so they can choose what color palette they want for the application. Right now, it's just this like dark olive color, because why not? Okay, so what we built so far is we have this little chat interface where once this connects to Twitch, it'll be able to show all the information there. But for now, the data that it gets is not from Twitch. It's just anything we type in here. So this is our little chat interface, so it can pull in chat data. Welcome, Ruben. And so that's what we're doing here. Additionally, we kind of figured out what we want our commands to sort of look like. So by default, I'm thinking we're going to start off with just doing our own commands, which are going to be the format that we create. But I want to be able to specify on these what the format of the command is. So instead of, so there's a couple of ways we can go here. We can either make it so that we can import commands from another system. So if we go the import route, what we end up with is we take whatever command someone wrote in for another bot, we import it, we translate it into the language that our bot uses, and that becomes the new version. Alternately, we can support the formats of the other bots, essentially, and say, instead of just importing it, we'll say, okay, if you want to use that format, we'll support that format, and you can do it. So that way, if you're using a command that it was intended to be used with a different bot, and the original creator of that command makes adjustments to it, you can just bring that in and put it on here. So Ruben, we may be doing, so we're technically doing some custom, we're using user controls in here. We have not built any custom controls on this project yet. We've built some custom controls in some of our other WPF projects though. On this one, something I'm wondering about, and maybe we have one of our T4 obsessed viewers in the chat today, but I am thinking about looking into runtime T4 templates to auto-generate some of our forms so that modules can get imported. Something I'm looking at for this project that I did figure out I would mention there. So this is the idea with our custom commands, is that you'd write your command name, you'd choose what access level you'd want, you choose the response that you want it to have, you can set a cooldown both for the command itself or for a specific user, and this is the basic structure that we would want to build. So you'd create commands like this in here. We may also, so we're likely also going to have like a plus over here to create new one, a create new button, as it were, to essentially have a more complex view if you need more than just this setup. So if you want to, like, if we're going to have any additional customization aside from what's shown here, and then additionally searching and commands, like the settings for how all commands work, are going to be accessible from this page. The third thing on here, because I mentioned that we want it to be very like modular and customizable, is this view, which is where we would be importing in all the custom modules that we would be supporting. So the idea here is that we want to support more than one, like we call them runtimes. We're a little torn, so the community here, on what we should call them. We were working on this last stream, and we were sort of debating what this should be called. The idea here is that Chatter plugin is our like our own custom one that we built. Like, here's how we want modules to be built for Chatterbot. But then we may also want to support these Python scripts, and essentially we'd create a template. So this Python script one, I made a Jedi Sith detector for Streamlabs chatbot that I did on stream. And it's basically just a little Jedi Sith game thing, and people in chat can just find out whether or not they're Jedi and Sith, and maybe you could build some whole game on it. We never did end up going all that far with it, but it was something that we've that I just could toss in here as an example of something you might build. That is true, Simon. So we could support either doing it at runtime or doing an initial import and having it changed. So you're definitely right about that, because it doesn't really cost us extra to just convert it into ours. It depends a little bit on the implementation, because we could just support their format, but then I guess once we've used their format to essentially translate it into whatever we do, then we might as well have it, because any feature that we give to theirs, we will support as well. So if they needed some way of accessing, the user's name, for example, which of course they will, then we would put that into ours as well. So you're right. Anything that we would support for theirs, we would support for ours. So we'll have a superset of it. So it would make sense that we would offer them the ability to translate it if they wanted, because we clearly have it in memory and then could just save it as such. Okay. Last thing, we have an about view that I haven't done anything with. See, just placeholder, and our settings view that again is also just a placeholder. So we have a couple of things that are in here. Additionally, we have our section for how we'll authenticate the accounts. This is not wired up yet, but you can see that we separate it by the bot account and the streamer account. So you can pick whichever one you're setting up. Obviously, without the bot, there's not really anything, but you could connect the bot and then it would be in there, and then yay, it's connected. So we want to wire all that stuff up. So plan for the day. We are not because obviously we can't get to everything. So today, what we're going to be working on, and this was just like me off the sort of on a napkin trying to come up with what we wanted to do today. I came up with this plan yesterday. I want to work on getting our IOC wired up. We don't have that yet. I want to get some of the projects. Get to everything. I want to get some of the projects set up as well. So right now, because I was just prototyping it together, everything's just in one WPF class library. Nothing really going on here. We're gonna break this out so that we do have some separation there. But additionally, I want to get our unit test project set up. I want to get our IOC wired up if we can, and I think it would be good if we could get settings files. So essentially being able to have some configuration that someone might do in a settings file initially. And then lastly, I want to see if we can wire up our ASP.NET Core site if we can, which is a little bit tricky because we are actually going to host a website inside of a WPF app. So the WPF app is going to essentially spin up a web host when it gets started. And that web host essentially is what's going to control overlays and things like that. Which in theory should work whether the bot is connected to Twitch or not. So if a streamer starts up our program and has not connected to Twitch yet, we should still be able to show overlays. That means it may not necessarily respond to events and things like that with changes to the overlay, but it should at least be hosting the static files for them to see it. So that's our goal. That's the stuff we're wanting to work on today. That's the plan. Okay. Welcome, Pudding. Welcome, Simon. Welcome, Grumpy Game Dev. And yes, we will get to everything. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you're having a fantastic one. Let's dive in. Okay. So, a couple of things I mentioned. We want to have some kind of a unit test project, so why don't we knock that out? I have no changes right now. Good. Okay. So, what? Oh, I was like, why isn't it letting me add a new project? Brendan, helps if you stop the stop the code from running. While you're debugging, it doesn't exactly like that. All right. So I'm going to pick an XUnit project. Keep in mind that if you use NUnit, we're just translating syntax, but effectively they work the same way. So, or if you're MS Test, again, same thing, syntax differences, but effectively the exact same type of project. So don't let that scare anyone off. So Chatterbot, tests, do that. No, we're at such an early stage that I'm not even bothering to separate out the unit tests from the integration tests. I'm just going to call them tests for now. And if we end up with end-to-end tests or UI tests or anything like that at some point, cool. don't at the beginning of your project, yeah, exactly. At the beginning of your project, don't worry about like what you might add eventually. Just start with some basic stuff and get going. It's really easy to change project names in C#. It's really easy to change folders, locations. That's all just simple metadata inside of solution files. Don't like overcomplicate things. Just do what's easy and works. Okay, so first off, let's make sure that this is wired up correctly. It's auto-generated, so it should be fine, but we're going to try running and make sure that it can succeed, and then I'm going to run it again and make sure that it can fail, and as long as it can, I'm going to remove the tests. Assert, true, false. Alright, let's confirm that the tests can both succeed and fail. Let's make sure that we wired everything up correctly. Okay, excellent. Tests can succeed and fail. Good. Alright, so always whenever you're creating new projects, go ahead and make sure you do a full build. And the reason I say that is that makes sure that the solution file gets saved, because Visual Studio can actually run the CS project file without can do that without saving the solution file. So once you've done that, you are pretty much safe to go ahead and do a commit, which I'm going to do. Again, we're still on our main branch, so don't freak out about that. We're not like, this is initial part of the project, one dev basically setting up the basic file structure. If you really want to, you can PR in the initial structure of your application, but I don't bother with that until I get to a certain point, and then when I'm like, okay, now I have an app, now we're going to have other people work on this, that's usually when I start branching, is once I have like the full set of libraries and basic structure in place. That's usually when I say, okay, time to start branching, because I'm going to work on specific features then. So I don't create branches unless I have a team that's starting out immediately, or until I start working on actual features. So right now we've basically prototyped and we're adding projects. So adding simple test project. Okay, so that I'm just going to send up. Let's see. If it's of interest, there is an extension of Visual Studio that lets you embed a PowerShell as a window inside of VS that... Oh, yeah. So Simon, yeah, you can totally do that. And Epoch Dev is correct that the... this is the funny thing that people may not know, that the package manager console that you get from Nuget is actually a PowerShell console in here. So you can actually use this as PowerShell if you want PowerShell access inside of Visual Studio. That's what I use for my PowerShell. Okay, so now the project is in there. Let's add a project reference to our other project, because we will want it to be able to access that one. And then the other project I want to add in, because we're still in structure mode, I'm going to separate out a core project. Yes, I have ReSharper, but I also have the version of Visual Studio that could give me live unit testing if I want as well. Okay, so class library .NET Core C#, that's the one I want. If you don't have like recent project templates for that, you can find them as well by picking C#, and you could say nope, not machine learning library. There it is. So you could do a .NET standard library, but I'm actually going to use just a standard .NET Core library. So class library. But again, I'm just going to pick mine because it's over here. So class library.NET Core. So I've done some stuff on why you would pick .NET Core versus .NET Standard at any given time. The short answer on that one is, if you're expecting that your library is going to get used by both .NET Core applications and .NET Full Framework applications, or choose any other runtime that you think it's going to need to work with, compile towards .NET Standard. If you are going to be targeting one specific thing you're building, like this is a class library that's for a specific application, you can match with whatever it is exactly. And Simon, I am looking forward to the .NET 5 move at some point. I think it's going to be a really good change. It is actually the one that a lot of us have been waiting for, because we were kind of like... .NET Core came out, and to be honest, there has not been enough adoption by the community, and there's been confusion about, like, well, do I pick framework or core? And I think the community at large had somehow got the idea that core was like a subset or a smaller or something like that, or was like a branch, and they didn't think of it as like, no, core is the future. And well, core is the future. Funny enough, as many of us had been shouting the whole time, no, core is not some side thing. Core is the replacement for .NET Full Framework. The problem is the messaging out of Microsoft constantly had to be, no, Full Framework's not going away, Full Framework's not going away, you're safe, because they need to make sure all the businesses are safe. So it creates a little bit of confusion, and so I'm really glad that they're doing the, like, .NET 5 stuff. Yes, so Simon, you're absolutely correct. The way that we're doing it right now is I'm just planning on doing it for this .NET Core WPF app. If we switch to something with Blazor, I can also switch the application to .NET Standard. So one of the other things that I want to let people know, if you are a .NET person that is out of the .NET framework, if you have a background in .NET Full Framework and you don't have a background in the .NET, and you haven't done a lot of switching into .NET Core and Standard, I just want to let you all know that switching between .NET Core and .NET Standard in your projects is actually really simple. You literally can go in here and change, from Net Core app to like Net Standard 2.1 and like rebuild this, and you'll get some compiler errors because some things don't work the same. So like a parameter to a method might have allowed for a character in one, and it's got to be a string in the other, and so you run into like, oh, I did like a string join that can only be a string for the separator in Standard, but I used a character in Core, and you run into those kinds of things all the time. So that's awesome that Nightbot thought that was a link, APOC dev. The point is that I'm not going to switch it to this. I'm going to leave it as a Net Core app because I'm matching with my project, which is what I suggest to most people. Yes, Michael, exactly. Somebody didn't do a great job of the marketing communication, things like that, because I think a lot of the business world did not get the idea that .NET Core really is the future. Yes, APOC Dev, I agree. Yeah, so this bot will be less grumpy. We adopted .NET Core at your job for a pretty simple reason. Docker containers in kube clusters. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So any organizations that started building .NET Core stuff and still had to maintain .NET Framework stuff, .NET Standard was the answer for here's your stuff that you can share between them. And it's fantastic for that. I love that they did that. Awesome, Stoolpenner. So the other thing is that I want to point out to people is that switching versions and things like that is as simple as changing the number here and fixing the errors. You can go look at what the differences are between things for like converting. You can just go online and there's like, if you're updating versions of .NET, for example, it's super easy. But .NET 5 is basically .NET 5 is .NET Core. They just removed the word core from it. So the idea is the one .NET, it's like, yeah, no, that's the marketing trick to be like, yeah, framework and core are coming back together. And by that, I mean, they're coming back together as core, just with the name fixed. So yes. If you're on framework, get as much of your libraries to standard now, and you're carrying... Yes, exactly. Simon's correct. Yes, Simon is 100% correct. If you are on a full framework project, you should be switching your class libraries to .NET Standard slowly over time, so that when you do need to move to .NET 5, it's an easier transition. Okay, let's go ahead and start pulling some code over into our core project. And by core, I don't mean .NET Core, I mean like application core. Okay, so first off, as I said, before you commit a project file, make sure you build every time, and the reason you do that is because you want the solution file updated. Okay, oh, and I forgot to commit this one. So, first thing that we're going to do is commit the reference, adding a project. No, I'm going to do this after. We'll do that one after. Adding a core project to the, yeah, sure, adding a core project. Good enough. And then, so the reason I waited is I'm going to add the other reference. So our test project is going to reference both projects. It's going to reference the core project as well as the WPF project. So let's go ahead and add that. And now we're going to say add project references to the test project. Okay. Let's see. Yes, APOC Dev, you can multi-target. I've done some multi-target projects before, and I can tell you, I'm not a big fan of multi-targeting. If you'd have done a core at your job, see if you're a framework, get as much. Yep, I read that already. Now switching from Scala to. Oh yeah, so some languages are more difficult to switch than others. .NET Core, while not a language, is pretty easy to switch. All right, let's add our other reference, which the WPF app is going to reference the core class library, and we're going to build again. Referencing the core from WPF. Okay, there we go. So now we've got our basic project structure in place. Let's go ahead and start wiring up our IOC. So, what do we want to set up for this? First off, I need to open up this project, and then I am going to go online and figure out what my package reference is, because I need the Microsoft dependency in Microsoft Extensions Dependency Injection Nuget package, which is right here, and this is the package reference that I want. So you can use Nuget, but I often like just going like that and just putting in my references myself for a couple of reasons. First off, in .NET Core, these CS project files are really not all that complicated, and it's nice and easy to just toss in a package reference like that. For anyone who's looking at switching, there's an analysis tool which will scan your existing project and warn of issues. Oh. Okay. So, and if you are wondering, in .NET Core, all the new projects, if you just double-click on the project, it opens up the XML for it now. So that is, in my opinion, just a super, super nice feature to just be able to get that out of the box. Okay, let's build so that it pulls in the NuGet package and we can actually use this, and Visual Studio starts figuring it out. So, a WPF app is not the same as a web application or a console application or anything like that, and the big difference is that I don't have a program CS file with a static main method. So since I don't have a main method, my entry point into the application that I'm going to use to wire this up is our app.xaml.cs. So it's right here. It is this piece, and what I'm going to do is remove the references from there. I do not need that, so super, super simplified here. Here's my current app class. There's nothing in here. So what we need to do is go over to this, and there's a couple of changes I need to make. First off, I have a startup URI that is telling it when the application starts, automatically make the first window that we display for this app be the main window. And before I go any further, let's just make sure I haven't broken anything before we get started here. We still good after all those references and new projects? Yes, so this is the main window right here, this window. this is a second window. Okay, so main window is right here. We need to make sure that this still gets loaded. If I were to remove this without replacing it with anything else, this app, I forget what it's going to do, because I haven't actually done this in a while. Yep, no window. Where's the window? So it didn't. So it started up the program, but there's no window. So, yep. All right, let's stop it. Okay, so I want you. How did I get up on that? IntelliSense, do you want to help me out here? Startup. There we go. And I saw Simon said something in chat, but I have not read it yet. Give me 1 second, Simon, and I will read your message in chat. Let's see. You can get away with abstractions in core, and dependency injection is only needed in the composition root. Abstractions will work in your core assembly. Yes, this is the core assembly. This is where I am going to be composing it. So you are correct that I can get away with that abstractions. Although I'm not usually a fan of typing that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and just in case I typoed that, although I guess I could just run it right now and find out. Derp. Okay. So let's go ahead and wire things up so they work basically the same way they did a moment ago. So we're going to do this step at a time. So we're going to say main window. And then we're going to say show. So this is an alternate way of doing basically what we had a moment ago. So there we go. We're back to our window. So we have now wired it up ourselves by just calling our app on startup and saying main window, create a new one and show it. But we want these to be able to, be like created based on our IOC container. So there's a couple of things that we're going to need to do still. First one, register the actual container that we're going to use. So I mentioned that we're going to use the standard built-in stuff, and so that is going to be part of the essentially initialization. So let's go to the constructor of our app, and we are going to create a new service collection. And yes, this is the only newing of things that I'm intending on doing. It's pretty much just newing at this point, and then everything else is going to be created either for the IOC container or within the IOC container is the idea, or by the IOC container. So this service collection is actually what is going to essentially build our what's called provider. Let's see. If you also want to look at the new WPF I host as an entry point, I might, Simon. I have not dug into that yet. It's the one. First off, welcome. No. That's not the kind of chatbot we're creating. That's part of the challenge is that, what do we want to do? What's it called in startup? Configure services? I think that's what it is. And does it take an iService collection? Technically. So I think that's the format that startup does in ASP.NET Core. Configure services, iService collection services. Yeah. So I'm going to match with that, and one of the main reasons I'm going to match with that is host builder does this for you. You get a lambda. All right, I'll go pull it up, and we'll see what it looks like, Simon. New host builder, configure services. Sure. Yeah, that'll work. And we'll just create an iHost then. So did they actually break out the generic host for this? Or is this still, or is this something different? What did they do for it? Simon, what's the package for that one's in right now? Microsoft extensions hosting. Thank you. Oh, 316. I'm betting 316 is the current version. Extensions hosting. Yep. Okay, makes sense. This might be the one I'm using in my other project, actually. I was planning on doing all the host stuff separately because we're going to set up our web host for this and switch to a startup. That's why I was like, what's the startup? I want to match the startup configuration because I was like, yeah, if we do that, then we can get away with it a little bit easier. Because then the switch when we go to that becomes simple. You're using Sync Fusion. Hang on a sec, I've got text messages coming in on my phone that I figure I should look at. So we're not going to do any of that stuff. But... Oh, that's funny. So singleton we actually need is our main view model. That's like the first thing that we're going to need. And then we will also need services.add singleton main window. So those two both, we only ever want, we never, like, so we discussed this in our last stream, the idea that a singleton as like a coding pattern can also be an anti-pattern depending on how you're using it. In our case, because of the fact that we are building an application where these are the windows that you only want to have one of, and you never want to have more than one, and you never want to have more than one of that view model, for example, which is always going to be essentially the backend. So the view model essentially becomes the backend bound data to that view. So since the view never goes away and the data never goes away, you kind of need it to be a singleton in your application. So generally what you want to do when you're doing that is wire it up with an IOC container that is managing the lifetime of that. So it is specified here that that is a singleton. What this is not is the singleton implementation in a class where it's a static piece that is unchangeable and you can only ever create one of, because that is usually an anti-pattern because of essentially what it locks you into. This, with an IOC container, as long as you're not singletoning like every single thing you create, is not so much of an anti-pattern. Okay, welcome, Dumpster. Greetings, welcome to the stream. You should be using... Oh, yes. APAC Dev is absolutely correct. He should be using the client factory. Yet both server and WPF can use iHost. Singleton when you don't want to admit to using globals. Yes, exactly. No, Grumpy Game Dev has mentioned it precisely. Sorry about that, Dumpster. Yeah, so ask me specific, and I don't know which thing I said that was missed there. Okay. Does Client Factory still let you set a base URL? Like throughout the app? I forget if you can get away with that, Simon. So yeah, Dumpster, no problem. So the reason why these are singletons here is because when this application is running in WPF, it's going to load a window, and this main window is going to exist for the entirety of the application. There's never going to be a point where we don't have that. That window's there. If the window's closed, the application is gone, and we don't care anymore. So we're not like creating new instances of that window. That being said, there is another window in this application which we do not need to create as a singleton. We can create that one as transient, that every time you ask for it, it could create a new one. So that would go for any sub-windows where they would open and close depending on when they're needed. Now, whether or not that's transient or something else is a little bit of a question, because you could say that that is also like a singleton that is being shown and hidden, essentially, depending on how you want to structure it. So it's just whether you're creating new instances of them every time or not. So let's see. Yep, we'll name that host for now. We'll do that. And then this. Services, get service. Can I not, did this not have a, there it is. Welcome! Hey, Dan! Greetings! Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Brave Cobra! Greetings! Welcome. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Yes, I don't have any Toto playing, so I apologize about that. Yes, it has been a long time, Honest Dan. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully you were doing some fun programming today. Maybe you were gaming. I know Dan does some programming over there. It has been way too long. It's something in Africa or something like that. Sorry, I'm just welcoming everyone to the to the stream. I don't know if you were playing the song Africa by Toto when you raided over, but I seem to remember that being a thing when you raided. Oh, you're going back into your old stream overlay game. Nice. I am actually starting out a new project here. Yeah, it was a thing. It was totally a thing. So we are actually starting on a new project, which I'll give a quick intro to, just so people know. We're walking through it right now as like a as I explain what we're doing. But in the past, we built our own custom bot for DevChatter that is a that was custom built for this channel. Has a lot of our own games, has a lot of our own stuff in it, and I decided that I wanted to build a more modular a bot that was designed to be able to take all the various bots that I run at the start of my stream, as well as the ones that other streamers start, and essentially build them like into one bot that essentially brings in modules and pieces from a lot of other bots. So essentially then, instead of building bots from scratch, most of them would get built with custom pieces. And that being said, I know of some bots that already do that kind of thing. Not all of them are getting a lot of like active work right now, and so the thought there is, okay, let's build this. Most of the bots that I know of that do that kind of thing are not open source projects, so it's not like we can go say, hey, do you want some help? Like, we'll take the reins and build it. So instead, what we are doing here is we are starting up a bot with the intention of supporting the modules and plugins of any other bot out there whose like community of developers want, to essentially bring them over. So I have built custom scripts for Streamlabs chatbot, for AnkBot, as well as custom commands on other bots as well. And that goes both for like the, just basic commands where, you just have text responses with like parameterization and stuff, as well as for like full-on plugins for doing interesting stuff. Brave Cobra, I expect it will support your vacuum cleaner as long as it was manufactured in either the United States or the United Kingdom. If your vacuum cleaner was constructed in any other country, then we're not going to support it. Which basically means that we're not going to support it, because do they even make vacuum cleaners in either of those countries anymore? I don't know, probably. I was just kidding. But yes, welcome Brave Cobra, welcome Ancient Coder, welcome Raiders, welcome everyone. Great to have you all here. Okay, so we just finished wiring up technically our IOC container. We're not fully using it everywhere, but it is in place. So that seems like as good a spot as any to make a commit. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll start pulling some more code out. So far our program is mostly a prototyped application of like the structure that we want, and we need to build in all the pieces for it. Just started this. Yes. Okay. So one of the cool things is that for anyone that doesn't know, Honest Dan Games is an awesome streamer. I guess I'll say. I was about to say like live coder, but you'll find Dan also games on his stream. So I'm gonna go with the more general streamer. And Dan builds cool stuff over on his stream. He's done some neat like little chat overlay games that he built on his channel, where his chat actually plays like season-long games in the chat that are just playing out with stuff on his overlays. It's really neat stuff. And I do know that you were building it all in C# and Unity, and I don't remember if you went and got like a programming job at some point while you'd been streaming for a while. I think I'm remembering that you did. I hope that's all going well, because I haven't been around much lately. Heck, I wasn't even streaming for a good amount of time either because I got too busy with work. The funny thing is we will actually be doing, so I am planning on doing the build pipeline stuff for this also. We're going to be doing it with GitHub Actions, I believe. So was I doing it wrong when I was setting app current main window to the window instance? Do you not need to do that? You've never done WPF professionally. So I'll be honest that I have done WPF professionally. I have not done a professional WPF.NET Core application for any companies, because it has been a while since I've done a WPF app for a company. Most of the applications that had been like where you would do a WPF app is now living somewhere else and is often a web app instead, which again is fairly normal. Your scheduled streaming is game dev, but as you just do one scheduled stream a week, the odd stream will end up being game playing or cooking to relax. Oh yeah, I forgot you do cooking streams too. I forgot to mention that. You got a job as game dev, hence the less personal project stream. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just disappeared from streaming for a while because I just had too much client work. Yeah, exactly, Simon. See, you last did paid desktop work 15 years ago. Yeah, that sounds about right. My last, so I have done professional WPF work, but that has been a lot of years. So, yes, Hef, that it is a perfectly fine thing to have too much client work. So I am an independent consultant, so I get various clients, and my workload will shift because sometimes I bring on a few clients, and then one of them will ramp up their need for like whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's mentoring, training, or just custom development, and then my schedule gets all out of whack, which is what happened. And then the funny thing is that client ended up being like, okay, all right, I'll get rid of my other clients, so we'll hand them off and wrap up their projects, and then this will be my only one, and then we even ramped up even further. So it's been a wild bunch of months, but you're right, not a problem to have too much work. Okay, so this is adding in IOC with an iHost. So yeah, that looks fine. Welcome, Black Helicopter. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. And if anyone else has been enjoying our stream and content and conversation we're having about programming, feel free to click the follow button, as that's chatter about programming and development careers and things like that is very common on our stream here. So do not be surprised when we have conversations about that stuff. Okay, so next thing we need to take a look at. So ST Border, welcome. Thanks for that follow. You were independent for 3 years and your schedule was a mess in terms of work hours per week. Yes, absolutely. Yep. And Codeman, thank you very much for that follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Okay, so we wired it up so our main window is getting wired up with IOC. However, as you'll notice, when I was prototyping this, because it was just getting wired up, I just did the data context with a view model bound right in here and didn't bother essentially doing anything else with it. So you'll notice that I can bind in the properties that I want to have for the initial structure of this, but I'm not really a fan of doing that because the XAML here starts getting really messy and doesn't really buy us much. So what I want to do, because we end up still having these properties come in through the IOC container, and I don't want to deal with that. So we're going to take this up a level and start fixing it. Yes, the core project and the test project are super clean code. Super clean. It's nothing there. So the previous question, the short answer was neither of us have any idea if one needs to set the app current main window. I don't think you have to do that anymore, Simon. That's a good question, though. There's one test we can have for that. There's one quick test. I'm going to close the window with another window open and see. No, because this window would be the child of that one. Yeah, seems like it figured out that that's the main window. So basically what's getting asked is, do we need to set this? I don't think so. I don't think we have to set this, but it also doesn't hurt to set it. I should confirm if we have to. Adds any benefit. So I'll leave myself to do to confirm if that actually buys us anything. I don't think it does. Okay, so let's have a look. So we are building our main window and the main view model with IOC right now, if we want to. So let's get rid of that. So that was essentially, that would automatically create us a new one, but I don't believe that approach, well, you know, let's find out. I don't know if that can wire up dependencies. So if main view model has a dependency, can that actually work is the question. Let's find out. What did I use this for? Is this just a pass to the child window? Yes, it is. Okay. So if the child window is getting this passed in that same way, then we'd be okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's add something else to our IOC container. So let's go to the code for this. We're going to add another view model, the accounts view model. And now someone is obviously going to notice in chat, hey, you're wiring up all these dependencies by hand. Are you going to scan for them instead? Right now, no, because there's like 3 of them. Eventually, once we get more, probably. And there's a couple of ways that we can do that. There is a library that can be used just to do scanning and essentially still leverages the original IOC container that is supported by essentially the Microsoft extensions dependency injection class library. And so there are libraries that just let you do scanning for the assemblies to automatically register them. So we may take that approach. Alternately, we may wire up a different IOC container. But right now, simple, easy, we're good. I think you need to let Windows do taskbar stuff. So Microsoft Extensions Dependency Injection is the IOC that is built into .NET Core. For anyone that is wondering that. Okay, so here's what we did. We said the accounts view model can now be wired up automatically, and it is a singleton. And you might be wondering, why is it a singleton? And the short answer is because I think the accounts view model is a reasonable place to have the values of what the current account stuff is. And it's also not the worst place to keep track of the current status of those. So the accounts view model itself, I'm going to leave as a singleton because of the fact that it is a reasonable place to keep track of if we're connected or disconnected from our accounts. Seems reasonable to me. And if that's the case, then this needs to exist for the lifetime of the application. The window that displays it, however, I don't think needs to be a singleton. So that we can either make be scoped or transient. Either way should be fine. I don't know what scopes we're going to be doing for things yet. So for now, I'm just going to make it a transient accounts window, like so. Let me catch up on chat. The one for scan. Oh, what's the library for scanning? Okay, so there is what's it called? .NET Core scan libraries. I'm gonna hit the Googles because I will recognize it. Yep, there it is. So one that I have used before is this one. It has worked well for me. I will toss a link to that in chat. So this is basically a Fluent API around the that can be used to do the scanning for you. So if you are interested in doing this, this is the one that I have used in the past. It works pretty well. Let's show an example of it. So you basically just, it works as extension methods off of the service collection. And so you just say, from assembly, add classes as implemented interfaces with transient lifetime, right? And so it just lets you get this fluent way of doing this. And you can say add the classes that are assignable to this specific interface and implement them this way. So if you had, say, a library that might be full of I command something or other for your custom chatbot commands, for example, you could scan for those and automatically assign them. So there are a lot of these types of things that you can do. And if you are doing the decorator pattern, for example, which I'm a big fan of, it has just built-in support for handling the decorator pattern. So little bits like that. So, yep, good stuff. So you have to do that over every assembly, even dynamically loaded at startup. So for that one, yes, but kind of. So what I'm thinking of is that so you can just you don't have to specify the assembly. It also would have all the running assemblies as an option in there. So we weren't looking at full documentation of it, but it does have options for scanning all of the assemblies that are currently running for them. So you can look at more stuff. Okay, so this will create these. But then that means that I need to be able to create an account window. So let's think about how we want to make this. So I don't like the idea of this having access to the I don't like the idea of the main view model necessarily even having access to IOC itself. Need to think about how I want this created. I might break the rules for now. Not sure. Well, let's think about this for a second. If we make this... Hang on. Let's do this for now. We're going to do this and see what happens. Accounts window is what's going to take in the accounts view model, so that can go away. Do you know if it handles instance reuse? Nope, only that. Wait, why does it need access to IOC? Sorry, I'm missing. There. Yeah. Okay, first off, I don't know if there are kids watching, but yeah. So I'm just gonna inject this. So even this is not exactly what I want to have here. But this is better. Oh, it's funny that I called it that. Okay, so this comes in from the constructor. So this, I should just set these values on. So let's yank these. Put it up here for now. And don't worry, I'm going to extract this. I should clarify before anybody freaks out that I'm putting all this in the constructor. It's going to get called by the constructor, but it won't be here. This is not needed. So we're going to set the current Windows, set the startup location, and set its args. So we're saying when the window closes, it's going to destroy this, but I don't know that we're going to. Okay, so that's up there. Okay, so instead what we're going to check is if the window is... active. There we go. That's right. Yeah, Brave Cobra, I can inject a factory that creates it, but I don't really want to have a factory that... I guess I could make a factory that creates these things, but that just feels messy to me. I thought this thing could just live forever. Yeah. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Accounts window. Accounts window, accounts window. How can that null if it's not we returned? Oh, yes, this isn't when it is null. Okay. So instead of ejecting in this, essentially we would end up with like a with a class that can create these. The weird part is I don't really want to make them. All right, so let's just create a window factory then, which I'm not huge on. So I haven't pulled anything into that core project yet, but I'm going to need to. For now, I will not. I don't totally like this. I'm guessing Adil. Welcome. Thanks for that follow. If I totally butchered your name, tell me and I will try to say it a better way. But welcome. Thanks for that follow. What kind of factory are you thinking, Brave Cobra? Talk to me about what you're thinking. How would the factory work? Because I could do this. Mediator messages for abstract. Okay, so we're planning on having Mediator anyway. So you're thinking Mediator messages for abstraction of windows and dialogues from the view models. So does Mediator create new instances every time it's called? Or do those get... So we're not running Mediator yet, but I guess we can. All right, let's roll back a little bit. Let's go back to this. We're gonna have the code working with it down in here. This will just take in the view model. Right here. So the view model is getting wired up by IOC, but the window itself is still getting created down here. And at this point, the application should build, and then we can go put in Mediator and do the full thing. I was not planning on wiring up all the pieces just yet, but we can go ahead and detour over to that. Which one null reft? Stack trace. Main window, line 1. Thanks for that info. Super useful. Derp. Alright, let's see. Sweet. Oh. I guess my Control-Zing must have, put that back there. Click here to reload the designer. There it is. Okay, it is, but I had an example of a root scope in your app. You haven't tried this. It's a fair warning, it's R&D territory. You inject and register functions as factories to prevent the service locator pattern. Yeah, so I have done that kind of thing before where you essentially register a method, basically the approach that I think you're suggesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this. That we would go over here, and inside of this would be the definition of a function that this needed, that were something like this. and it's so pretend that this doesn't actually require an accounts view model, but was instead like I'll write it like this: get service account view model like this kind of approach, like that. Now obviously this isn't going to compile because of that, but I've done this type of thing before to get around it. Exactly. So view models doesn't directly need to know about the window. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't need to know where it came from, kind of thing. Anyway, let me get rid of this, because that's not really how we're wiring that up. But we'll see if we can make Mediator work for it. Let's run this again, just make sure everything's building and going, and then we'll continue on with this again. Okay. So I need to fix one thing in the main view model. So this should have gotten wired up with an accounts view model, but it seems that it did not create the menu items. That, or the one that gets created here, did not actually wire up into this window. So, oops, not the designer. View the code, please. Yep, here we go. So this did not actually receive that. So main view model, and then data context equals main view model. Okay, there we go, wired back up, and we have our tabs again. So remember that this layout with these tabs and everything is actually getting created by our view model. So even like which navigation exists here has to get created by our view model. The reason for that is that if we want this to be able to be modular, we have to have everything coming in that way. Otherwise, when we add additional scripts and things like that, we won't have any way to get any of the custom tabs there. Okay. So, now that is wired up, let's go ahead and wire up the next couple of pieces here. So we were talking about maybe doing Mediator for this. Before I jump into that, I want to move a couple of things around. Up some view models with IOC. Okay. Let's use our core project. I promise we're not ending. I just clicked the button. What? Commit first? Simon, I committed that. What are you talking about? Right. Yes, move all the stuff over to core. So everything that lives in here, I am going to move over into the core project, is my plan. How is the overlay changing color? You mean that? When I do that? Yeah. Dumpster, there's a whole video where there's a video on our YouTube channel. I built that as a custom thing. That being said, the video, I will warn you, is out of date. So in that some of the class names that I use in there have since changed in the latest version of .NET Core 3. So you'll need to check the comments if you look at that video where we built this. It's like just a one-off build that we did. And So, I mean, I guess you could Brave Cobra if you wanted to build it to do that. You could have it do that instead of be based on this. But yeah, there's a YouTube video on our channel that where I built this custom, and it's just a the little color changing thing is actually a system tray only application, and the plan is to eventually move that code into this one that does that work, and make that a custom module of this bot instead of its own thing. So I did it as its own thing mainly because I wanted to show people how we did it. There we go. Okay. Hang on a sec, because we gotta build this. I moved all the code out of the core folder, but it's not going to compile until we fix a bunch of stuff. So there we go. This is the one that's breaking. System Windows Media. Where did this come from? What's the minimum for this? Is part of the previous. I want it from a Nuget package. I forget where it is in Nuget packages. This is not the right one. Oh, it's because I wanted to use brush here, isn't it? Which, I just won't use brush. I'll just use color. Alright, this is going to break the color that we use, which is fine. I was cheating before when we did this, and now I don't get to cheat anymore, but it's easier than not cheating, so we'll just do that. WPF, color to brush converter. Yep, there's the one. There's no built-in one, or is there a built-in one? You could do color binding your color property. Okay, cool. Oh, as long as you did the binding of that. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. That is a great suggestion. There you go. No converter needed. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly, Simon. That is totally right. But that's so. The funny thing is, Simon's commenting that that is keeping me honest. But that's actually one of the reasons why I create those core projects. So a lot of people are like, "Why do you create these projects that have all these separate barriers?" It's like, well, it keeps me from bleeding concepts that shouldn't cross those lines. So it really does help with that. So let's go to the chat. Terminal view, is that what I called it? Terminal view, that one. Okay, so in here I should be bound to the user color right there inside of this text block. So then we're not doing a rectangle with a fill, we're doing a text block with a foreground, and we are going to bind user color onto it. Like this, which I think is gonna work. Yeah, so Simon's mentioning a more complicated approach where you could have separate UI for the thing. Something interesting that I actually do in web projects that not everyone does is I have the web project, but then I also have a project that is the infrastructure of the web. So if I have things that are related to a web concept but are not part of the presentation of my application, so for example, if it accesses something that's part of ASP.NET Core but is not part of the like presentation of my application, I usually put that in a in a class library that's for infrastructure.web. So why are these freaking out right now? I need to fix whatever's wrong in the core first, and then everything else will fix. Oh, I moved my value converter. Why did I have a value converter in there? Folder. Alright, so converters. This should not have moved. Come on back here. Now this needs a new namespace. Okay, so first things first, let's build the core project. And that builds just fine. And now let's build this project, which should maybe have namespace issues is about it. Greetings. What techno wizardry do we have going on? There's not really much techno wizardry going on today. There's fairly basic stuff going on today. Nothing all that crazy. So I think right now, it looks like I'm mostly going to be fixing our, as I said, it's going to be namespace issues because I moved everything. Wait, what? Something color. Oh, yes. Yep, that would totally break. So basically, I said I have a hard-coded in default here on this one, and that's all that was. Hang on, system Windows Media Color. This one's a system drawing color. Urgh. That's the wrong kind of color. I know we do this in our other project. I just can't remember what package is required to do it. Yeah, where to add the reference for this? I don't want to add a reference to presentation core. Oh, I don't remember how we got around this before. Well, I mean, alternately, what I can do is just do the system drawing color and just always do the conversion. But the problem is then, what does the... Can you make the brush from that? Okay, so system Drawing.color. R. No, I'm just trying to check and see if this even compiles. We're not going to leave the code looking like that. I just want to make it compile and see if it actually works at runtime. Because if we can make it work at runtime, then it's close enough and we can wrap that in something. I don't want to go bother making the method or extension that wraps it. Yeah, see? It did not get the color. So it did not bind it. So we did not get that right. So let's do this a step at a time, which should make it a little bit easier. Let's check and see if the chat messages were referenced by anything else in core. So chat message is referenced only in there. So step one to checking and seeing if there's a problem, we're going to take the chat message and we're actually just going to move it back into the chat bot. We're going to leave its namespace alone. The reason we're doing this is because then I can change which version of color it's using. So, and yes, I'm not kidding. There are two different colors in the .NET libraries, and they don't line up. Okay. So what I'm trying to find out here is, was it my binding in XAML that was the problem, or is it the concept of switching the color at all that's the problem? Is it that once I go to system drawing color, it can't convert it back, or did I mess up the binding? So that's what this is going to tell us when we run it this time. And sadly, a unit test isn't going to answer this for us. We'd need to get to the point of actually running and looking here. Okay, so the binding is fine. The problem is it can't convert from the system drawing color. Essentially, the brush in the binding won't accept our system value color as its foreground color. So that's the problem. That's an issue. I guess, now that I think about it, so let me think about chat messages for now. So we just need to know the user's color, and that could be as a string, right? We could just store that as a string. Mr. Shoji, welcome. Hey. Greetings. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Feels like yak shaving a bit this early. Yes. I agree, and I kind of want to solve this this issue here because it's kind of annoying to do it that way. Let's stop this and we'll move it. Gonna move it back over here. Please use date time offset. I guess I could use date time offset. Why do you like date time offset as opposed to using like Nota time, APOC dev? And you're right. So my messages right now, I just have like a hard-coded date time in there because I'm not terribly worried about it. Okay, I think that'll work. Yeah. APOC Dev, I'm not worried about it yet. That's not the final version of that. That is just literally just shoved in there for examples purpose so that we can see that messages have appeared. None of these are the final versions of anything. When I said I was just prototyping out the thing, I wasn't kidding. There we go. See? Yay. Okay. Excellent. It's just a prototype. There's nothing to worry about there. Yeah, so Mr. showed you the difference here is that nothing's actually wired up, so I can get away with calling this one a prototype. But you are right. In this case, it's totally a prototype because nothing, like, it doesn't even connect to Twitch. So, it's absolutely a prototype. In that case, ship it, yeah. Precisely. Let's see. So, that is moving the code into... Hang on, let me just wander through these just to see what's changing. So that's all the core stuff moving. This is that converter moving there. That's that switching to that. That's just the code shifting over into the other class. Okay, so this is moving core to own project. So essentially we're taking all the stuff that was in the core folder and we're moving that all over into a core project so that we actually have some barriers on that. Yes, Simon, you're correct. That is, and I covered that in a previous stream when I first showed this prototype. I pointed out that you need to be careful about that and mention to everyone, this is just a prototype. None of this is wired up. You need to tell everyone that because, seriously, yes, exactly. What APOC is mentioning will totally happen to you in the business world if you're not careful. If you build a working UI that has functional pieces and say, okay, you know, I want to drive the application from the user experience, and then wire up the back end from the front end, then some people will look at that and say, oh, it's done. So I wanted to get the basic structure of the front end in place so we could figure out how the pieces were going to work together and then start wiring all of that up. So there's a yes. So there are a lot of yeah. So if you're going to show the UI to a client at some point, and client can mean like someone internal to your company, it's a good idea to use some kind of a sketching tool so that they see something that looks like it's not, implemented. That's a good way to do that. One of them, Balsamic, I think, used Comic Sans so that everybody knew that that was not the final UI. Oh yeah, that you got to be careful of that about that. Exactly what Mr. Shoji's talking about, because the client sees nothing happen, but it's like, I mean, what was happening is I made that UI real. Like I showed you the layout so that you could tell me, yes, go ahead and spend the money. In here, I don't have a client. There's no like client's me, so I'm not worried about that. No one's like paying me to build this work. That's what lawyers are for. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Many tasks take a lot longer than people would expect them to. Okay, so we got that piece separated out and pulled into there. We pulled those over to there. What is next on our list? Calraven. Yes, exactly. That is the funny thing is sometimes the challenge with a bug is tracking it down, not fixing it. So it is very often that you can spend literal days finding a bug. Oh yeah, yeah. I worked at an organization one time where we had a client came to us and they had gotten multiple other consulting firms to look into the issue, and they were trying to figure out what was causing their problem. And multiple consulting firms that they had hired and spent money investigating an issue that they were running into came to the conclusion that it was our fault. We then had one of our devs spend about 4 hours digging into the problem and ended up finding out that there was a first off, that they were doing things like idiots, and second, that there was actually a bug with ASP.NET MVC that we then talked to Microsoft about, and it got acknowledged and fixed. And so the funny thing was, they had paid multiple consulting companies to search for an issue. They didn't find it, and they just pointed at a scapegoat. And what did we do? Well, we tracked down the actual issue. It still took us hours to figure out what it was. And at the end of the day, we didn't fix it either. We just told them, don't do this the way you're doing it. Also, there's a bug in ASP.NET that's now going to get fixed. So it's one of those funny things. It's like, yeah, a lot of times the expense is not in solving the problem, it's in figuring out what the problem is. Your CSO actually said to you, it's only an if statement, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Oh yeah, APOC dev. That's absolutely yes. That is one of the absurd things, and sometimes it is a tech person that knows. It's a person that knows enough about tech to know what tech is, but not enough to know what the implementation actually has to be to make it work. Yeah, exactly. Like, now, the funny thing is, I have worked with people where, like, I do know what it is they're doing, and I know exactly how to do it, and I can say, that's an easy thing, you can do that in 10 minutes. For example, it's like, this is clicking some buttons inside of Azure. You can just do that in 10 minutes. That is not a... I'm not asking you to do hours worth of work, just go click some buttons. Like, log into the site and click some buttons. That's it. Yup. Why do I have this written this way? To expression body. To expression body. That's way better. Let's do a code cleanup commit. Code cleanup. Okay, next thing that we need to put in here. So, we have not totally wired up our IOC for everything yet. We've got the basic, the main window is getting created with IOC, but nothing else yet. Heck, we're not even creating the different, we're not even creating all the view models that way yet at all, now that I think about it, but we'll get to it eventually. What else is on my list of stuff that I wanted to wire up? Settings through IOC. We could do settings. Or do we want to work on that? Okay, so I've got a handful of things that we need to do. It's just figuring out the order that we want to do them. Because alternately we can go the other route and start wiring up TwitchLib. Which I kind of like that idea. Adding TwitchLib feels branch-worthy to me. Because even if things go... Because if things go wrong, I want to be able to come out of this. Okay. Let's connect to Twitch. TwitchLib. TwitchLib package reference. That's what I'm taking. So I went to the TwitchLib project. This is going to be in here for now. I don't think they have, like, one for abstraction, so if we end up bleeding this concept into core, it'll have to go in there also. Let's see. You've got a configuration example in your app from user secrets if you want to nab it. Simon, I might take a look at that. Feel free to toss it in for us also. I made this project public today, so you can PR it if you want to. If not, I'll get to it eventually. You had an old client contact you not long ago asking if you'll take on a retainer offer if you have the time. People took over for me when I left still can't. That's hilarious, Mr. Shoji. Yeah. Can the built-in logger log to files? Ruben, yeah, so we should be able to do that. Do I not have it up somewhere? GitHub link. Okay, so I was pulling in the TwitchLib library, which I thought I had somewhere around here still. Did I get rid of that? Nope. Okay, so TwitchLib, project site. Let's go. So, what are they doing today? They have some credentials thing. Alright, I think for this, let's go ahead and make a new project for Twitch, for the Twitch stuff for now. I don't know if we're going to want to keep it as its own project, but let's do it anyway. Chatterbot Twitch. So this is where all of our stuff that will go in here. Shouldn't Twitch be in a separate package? Was that message sent before I did this? Oh, crap. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Simon. I screwed that up. You're totally right. I forgot to write infrastructure. Ugh. Where's that going to open? All right. Okay, I went and deleted the folder manually because it created it. Yes, I'm guessing there was a delay and Brave Cobra was yelling at me about a thing that I was already fixing. So let's see. So I went into the main integrations project and then integrations Twitch because the chance of only having a single chat stream provider is pretty low. Yes. Yeah, so... Yes. Simon, I was mentioning earlier, I separate out an infrastructure project specifically for the web project. Like, for web dependencies that are not presentation, but are web. I usually pull one out for that. So Chatterbot, which this name is temporary, by the way. There's a good chance we'll change it. There are some other names that I've already been considering for this. So I'm going to do infra.twitch. As the naming convention. Class 1 is not what it's going to be called. Let's go with Epic Bot of Awesomeness. Probably not. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that name, but I just meant that that's probably not what we will call it. Alright. Donk. Yes, Body McBotface is definitely what it'll be called. I did think about trying to go with some kind of a meme name or something like that. That crossed my mind. What if bot? I Yeah, some kind of botosaurus. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure out something eventually. Alright, so I was looking at what they had in here. So what do they want us to do? So I want to connect the chat first, not the API. We're going to need to do both, though. So... So what are we going to call this? On a serious note, the name of the bot in Twitch probably needs to be configurable. Yeah, so Simon, you're going to connect it to whatever your bot account is. So... so you will create an account and log in with that bot is the idea. So the screens for that are wired up, but I have not wired up the pieces of it yet. However, I have some stashed code for basically like doing like some very, very basic encryption of your OAuth token, because we are going to have to save it. So you gotta love the internet. Isn't it great? Anyway, such wonderful people. No one ever has problems with that. Alright, so Twitch bot wrapper. About Twitch bot for now. Alright, so this will be the Twitch bot. I don't know exactly, like, I'm just going to call it that for now, because I just need a wrapper around the Twitch lib classes. So, like, Twitch client, for example, which is going to get underscored by us. Do they do anything weird with this? Client, it takes in credentials, so let's grab their initial stuff. Alright, let's grab your sample code. What's your sample code look like? I mean, what's it look like once it's in here is a better description of it. Okay, so we're going to need a username and an access token. These are going to have to come from our settings. So, to pull these from our settings. If this is a Windows only, then DP API is a good idea. Simon, I should show you the code. So I have a stashed bit of code that I will, I guess, unstash real fast. Let me get to a point where I've got everything committed, and then I'll unstash it and show you what I'm working on with that. JSP87, welcome. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. Okay. On log, I guess we can log on joined channel. Yeah, we'll be joining a channel. We do want to have something on message received, on whisper received. We will eventually need to deal with on subscriber, but I'm going to ignore that one for now since we don't need that yet. It'll just be a little simpler. These also need to come from settings somewhere. Yeah, so I'll just show you what I've got set up right now, Simon. It's not a problem to bring that up. Plus equals. Nope. Couldn't tell what was on there because it was hidden behind that. That's interesting that it wants to name it that way. Create method. Does it figure it out? Not bad. Don't want it to be nullable, but sure. It's not a bad estimation of what these are supposed to be. So, since I didn't make this a nullable reference project, that's not the context that we're in here. I should say we're in a context where we are allowing nullable references. That's the question mark that it was putting in there was explicitly saying that that object could be nullable, because it can be, because it's coming from a place where nullable reference types are allowed. But since our context also allows null references, we don't need to specify that. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so I hadn't turned it off yet. But you're right, that you are totally right. If I want to turn it off, if I don't do it now, I will regret it. If I ever want to turn it off. You know what, I'm just going to steal their whole version. So we'll grab this, and then we'll fix these. So first off, it bugs me that they start with all the hi guys stuff, because first off, not everyone here is a guy. So, hey everyone. Hey everyone. Which also, it's silly that this isn't, a string. Okay, connected to auto join channel, bad word, no, we're not blocking bad words. So we'll do nothing with a chat message received right now. And we're not going to do anything with whispers right now. We're just going to have that open for them. That, no, I wanted this removed because it is unnecessary. It will automatically do that. Grab the WebSocket client from DI as well. The WebSocket client. Do you mean the, like, API client? The Twitch lib API client? If that's the one that you mean, then, yes. Yeah. Let me get what I'm working on right now done, Simon, and then we can go look at turning on, like, disabling null references in the whole project. I don't want to do that just this second. Okay, so those are clearly not my credentials, which it shouldn't mind. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. I mean, it really makes the point that every person you know named Nick needs to get a PhD or become a like really anything that gets them the doctor title, because it's just fun. Because who doesn't want Dr. Nick to be the name of the person that? Okay, so I don't know that I want to wire this up on stream with like because OAuth tokens is an annoying thing to mess with on stream. Twitch lib access token. Yeah, so Simon, I've done a lot of workshops on C#, and I do specifically things about like new cool stuff you can do with the language. So yes, nullable reference types is something that I have shown how to set up that context, because you can also do it just within a file. So like I could just define that this, this class alone does not have nullable reference types and gets forced into that. But it's best to do it on the project level. So if we're at this, we now need to have some way of storing the data. So maybe I am at the point where I bring out the code that I was talking about before. So let's see if this works. Stash. There we go. Did it put it back in core? That's funny, because I had it in core. So I have these two thingies here that I created. They get thrown back in core. So this is what I was doing for... Oh, did I not? Wait a minute. Where's my other code? Ah, here it is. This is my salt getting thingy. Okay, so couple of pieces here. So I wanted to get some kind of a salt so that we can store the salt that your application is using in its configuration, because I do want to have something that is used when encrypting the data that just helps hide it a little bit. So if someone did get access to like the stored data file, they would at least need to know to check both things, which, that being said, someone that actually has full access to your... So one of the rules of security that you may know about, and I am not a security expert that you should be taking that much advice from, so speaking of salt, take this with a grain of, if someone has access to your computer, like full access either to your file system or the physical device, you are in trouble. So that's usually such a bad case where you're basically screwed anyway. That being said, there are additional steps you can take for if the person doesn't know to look for these things. So one of the reasons why it is suggested that you separate like hashed values, hashed passwords from the salt, is that if they do get just the salt or just the password, it is harder to get the initial information out of that. So that is one of the reasons why we salt passwords before we hash them. That being said, in our case, we are not going to be hashing these because we have to send the value to someone else. So because we have to send your OAuth token out, we can't hash it. What we can do, and this is what I wired up, so I'm using this library, the System Security Cryptography Protect Data, which is going to call some internal Windows system libraries for the current user. And essentially it makes it so that given this set of data, this entropy, and this user, it is going to essentially encrypt the data. Now this is different from hashing because of the fact that this data can come back. So one of the reasons, yes, as long as, that's right, Fuel Snibble, as long as you use a MacBook Pro, you are immune. I was pretty sure it did, Simon. That's why I wanted to show you which library I was calling, is because of the fact that I was pretty sure it was going to call the internal data protection API that Microsoft has in place for this. And so essentially, for the same user, as long as you're passing in that same salt, you should get your data back out when you call this again. Just you're storing the creds on disk in the first place. So the challenge, Brave Cobra, is that someone's going to want to log into their bot, and because we need to store the credentials somewhere so they don't have to re-log into their bot account every time they start this, we need to store it somewhere. So there's a handful of places we could do that. A lot of applications that you're going to run into are just going to store it on the file system, which... it's one of those like, okay, yeah. Like, it's just an OAuth token for a bot. It's not like they have access to your account, so it's not the worst thing in the world to have there, but you probably don't want someone to get that. Tie it to Windows login. This should be tied to the Windows login. It's whatever account they start the program with. So, is what it's going to be tied to. Unless you mean, like, tie it, like, store it in the credential storage that the Windows login has, which is another thing that you could do. And so, part of the reason why I made this data protection class is the fact that if we need this to run somewhere else, so if we get to the point where we can run this on Microsoft Maui, which would be the cross-platform version of this, and we need to support Linux and or Mac OS, then we get the ability to just do that because we wrapped our data protection anyway, so we can sort of get that for free. If it's per user scope, it's protected by the Windows login. Yes, exactly, Simon. That's the idea. Yes, exactly. APOC dev, yes. And the thing is that, like, it's not really bad for users because, to explain to everybody what the discussion in chat right now, the idea is that if we stored this your OAuth token in a file, in a config file on the system, OAuth tokens are not specific to just using Twitch. This is actually something that you can run into with a lot of applications you might build as a developer. You might have an OAuth token that you're going to use to connect to Google's API or some other company's API to be able to get information from them. In our case, if that file, because we're going to store it encrypted, if I accidentally send it to someone else, they don't suddenly, like, could they get my information? Yeah, potentially. If I'd sent that to someone nefarious, an average user is not going to just be able to grab that. So, like, if I sent that to my friend Suna, he's not going to be able to, pull that back out, most likely. He's probably not going to try anyway, because I don't think he wants access to my bot. But I didn't just, like, send the credentials over there in clear text for him to see. Because in theory, the easy way to pull the information back out is to be logged into my user account that I'm running locally and to use the salt, which again should be stored in a separate location, to essentially reverse and pull back out whatever the data was that had been encrypted. So, I mean, the fact that I'm showing this on screen doesn't matter because, as I said, I'm moving that to a config file. So, yay! Doesn't matter. I can show the salt on screen. But normally you don't even want to show a salt on a screen because you don't want to share that with people because then they could use that to decrypt it. But the idea is that if this file gets moved, so if I change computers, for example, that may not work. Or if I log into a different account, I can't pull that information out. The only way for me to get the data back out is to be the same user, same login. Now, when APOC Dev mentions that that's bad for the users, that's only if they don't want to log in again. The only cost they run into from this, if their OAuth token stops working, is just that they have to log in with their username and password again through Twitch, which, annoying, yes, but for the benefit of security, absolutely worth it. So, we're going to go with that because it's a very minimal cost. So this is what I set up for doing the data protection, which is what Simon was asking about. Yes, exactly. So with this running locally and not out in Azure, I can't get away with using anything like Key Vault or anything like that. So since I do need to store this locally for the user, I don't just want to clear text their OAuth token for them, since I can secure it a little bit more. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and pull them over into our core project for now. I may decide that these should end up being somewhere else, like in another library for some reason, but they're not all that, neither one of them actually knows about configuration files or where anything's stored. So I don't think it's that bad to have them over in that project. Where is this? Ooh. Did I have a reference to that? I'm gonna look and see what that does. Ooh, interesting. So I had access to that as a desktop app, so that may not be core anymore. See? That actually might be a reason. Is there a Nuget package that includes this? Let's look. Looks like the answer might be yes. Yep, provides access to the Windows data protection API. And it has netcore and net standard dependencies, so we should be good to use this. And I can then debate whether or not that constitutes something that should be as part of its own infrastructure. You typically do the cheaty way of just request some input from the user to use as the key, so it doesn't matter what device it's on, and it can be shared if the user wants without sharing third-party account logins. Yeah, so essentially you would give them like some additional code that they would put in that essentially would allow you to decrypt the value. So they have a special token that they just need to type in. It's essentially, it would be like having a PIN code in addition. Chatterbot, why do you have that? Okay. Alright, so we're adding TwitchLib, not to this project, actually. That is the addition of the infrastructure Twitch project. That is the TwitchLib bot. That is that piece. That is some basic... So I was thinking I would store the salt that would get automatically generated in their... So basically, I'm going to generate a salt that I'll just store in their config file, and then I will store their account credentials in another place. So... This is so that they don't have to generate the salt, but I will have just generated a salt for them. Please don't what? Please don't what? Please don't generate the salt for them? You're just giving them the keys on the disk? Yeah, so the salt's not the key. So, and I'm going to put the... So the salt and the I guess I could put it somewhere else, but... I don't know where I would put this salt. I guess I could store this in Windows credentials. For now, I'm just putting it here. So, APOC Dev, the spot that we're sitting in, which is a little bit weird, is we want to care a little bit about security because we don't want generate it from the current user. APOC Dev, the current user is so users still required as part of that because we're using the Windows Data Protection API. So current users still in that. I guess I'm not sure what you're talking. This is in addition to the essentially the current user's information is part of this. The salt is part of this, and then the initial OAuth token is part of this. So it actually has 3 different pieces. So without all 3, you don't decrypt it. We're also not securing like a super secret password. I just gave who the salt? By storing it on the disk? I didn't give them the salt. You're saying if someone has access to the file system of the user, then yes, that would be having access to the salt. But they would not necessarily have the count information as well. But none of the OAuth token's not there. So I was planning on the OAuth token being the one that is not on the file system. And why would I not have to store it somewhere, APOC Dev? Oh, you're saying generate the salt? But if I'm generating the salt, then... yeah, so I guess I could generate the salt automatically based on machine info. Since you're already looking at the current user with... Yeah. So my thought was, since I'm already using the user, I just need to generate a random salt for that. And you're right. Since I'm already locking to the current user, there's not a problem with also locking to their machine. Either way, I'm not terribly worried about it just yet. That's like an aside. So that being said, it's an open source project. So if you have a PR for something that would be a really great way of improving that security, I am open to seeing a suggestion on it. Oh, good suggestion, Brave Cobra. That's actually what I was gonna say when we were saying like don't store it. It's like, well, if you don't store it, then yeah, just don't ever let the machine shut down, and have it automatically purchase a battery backup with installation. In memory is worse if i7 and Sang are anything to go by. Yes, exactly. That is part of the problem that Mr. Shoji's mentioned. If they upgrade something and the info changes, they have to log in again. They'll probably be annoyed by that. But either way, it doesn't matter. We'll continue on for now. I just like the salt is hard coded right now. I'm like, we're not actually even using that the settings version of it. So this is TwitchLib, but I want to start getting our configuration stuff over there. So let's not commit these 3 things yet, and just include TwitchLib sample not connected. So we're not doing anything with it, but that's the commit of the TwitchLib sample. These are the settings stuff that we were working on. Yes, there you go, Simon. The security around the user login to Twitch, where the API came from, is... Yes. So Simon makes a great point, which is one of the things that I always talk to people about, which is that all forms of security are basically about, like, you know, building the wall high enough that you discourage the attempt. Like, if I, for example, get some heavy-duty security door on my house, but I leave the window open, someone's going to come in that way. So, yes, as Simon mentions right there, it's only as strong as the weakest link. And so the idea is that if you keep adding more and more locks and mechanisms to your door, but you haven't secured the windows, you're putting your effort in the wrong place. So you get the door good enough, and then start working on the windows if you want to start adding to security. So it's make sure you're bringing everything up, because it's like, yes, imagine you're building a wall around your application. If you build the wall really high in one place, but it's not high in another, guess where? They're just going to climb over the wall over there. So that's the silliness of it. Okay. Let's have a look. So Simon, did you end up sending me that PR with what you were suggesting, or did you want me to take a look at wiring up the options in this? The classic raffle of pen testing, where the pen testing firm walks out of the job interview with the CTO keycard in their pockets. Okay. Yes, you are correct. Those are the silly ones. So you said you had some kind of configuration in here somewhere? For settings that I could just kind of gank. If not, I will go dig into my other ones, because I do it in my other projects. You just meant that. Yeah, okay. Even more fun is walking around a secure building with a magnet and going through every door with ease. Oh, yeah. What do I want to... I need to open up our other project and steal some code from myself. Because that's how we do things. We just steal our own code all day long. So I'm going to pull up Interactive 7 and find my code for setting up the configuration there. Because I'm pretty sure I did this. And the thing that Simon will laugh at is I am fairly certain that I also did a... I'm pretty sure I hosted it also. In almost the exact same way as I did this one. So let's get ready for a good laugh. I'll just pull it on screen so we can all laugh together. Sounds like you could do... The goal with this bot is to get overall by just making this one extendable, and then I can just yank bits out of that. Am I getting audio stutter? My mic is dead. It's back now? Okay. Alright, so it just stuttered for a second. Alright, sorry about that. Nope, this is not what I meant to open. I meant to open up... It's not the right one. Did I open the wrong project? I totally just clicked on the wrong project. That is hilarious. I swear I clicked on i7. No wonder I couldn't find it in there. It's absolutely the wrong project. There we go. Close all documents. Okay, so with this one, if I take a look in our app.xaml, oh, see, this one has an iWeb host that it's setting up. And does a bunch of theming stuff. And did I just hand this one off to configure services in there? What does initialize settings do? Does that one not use it? Maybe I did want the, Maybe I did want the, DevChatter bot. Well, either way, I think it can be done just straight from here, so... Let's go to the app.xaml CS, and we're just going to do services.configure... Ah! No, not configure all. Configure. And what's the type? It's going to be like foo settings. And then, what do I pass into that? One of these. Foo. And then configuration is an I configuration. Like that. Yeah, there we go. Can this... Configure the container, the one that I want. There it is. Oh, yep, it can't be. Does not have configuration? No, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Configure container? Yeah, so what I'm trying to replicate is in startup of an application, you can take in values like the configuration, the iConfiguration as part of that. Filter with that. Alternately, I guess I could switch this over to actually being a web host and then just get the same advantage. Oh, yeah, you're right. Good call. I am missing that. I probably am missing that package. Oops. You have this one, which I should have. But I don't see anything else. King Salt, which chatbot? Do you mean what's the Twitch bot class, or do you mean like generally what's the point of this chatbot? So this one is designed to be a very extensible bot. So generally speaking, the bot project that we are working on is designed to be very modular, and essentially what we're trying to build is a bot that can take all the various stuff that has been built by me and the other live coding bot creators, and essentially give us one place where we can essentially include fun things that we have written for our bots as modules to a bot. So I wrote a bot called the DevChatter bot, and it is the bot that is used here on the stream. We built a whole bunch of games and other fun stuff into it. I have also built custom bots that manage all the colors on my stream. So for example, if you want yellow lights to be all around the stream, you just type the word yellow and boom, there's yellow lights. I could also type the word lime and it makes them all lime. I could put in hash codes for the color red, for example, and they all change red. And so these are all essentially available options that you can do in our various bots. The thing that does the lights is a separate bot. We have built custom Streamlabs chatbot commands on here and built custom games into that. I have built those for other streamers. And the idea is that we want to make it so that there's one place that can take all these various like bots and custom commands and features and things like that, and make it so that you can include them here and use them. So if you're a programmer or just a streamer and you have a collection of a couple of bots that you run, we want to make it so that you can just include all of that stuff in here and run it. So the goal is like, reliable, user-friendly bot that is being maintained and is open source, instead of a closed source bot that is not getting updated and is not really like, vibrant, growing part of the community. So, yep, that's the idea. Yeah, so Simon, I'm not even seeing it in your example there. So I'm gonna keep digging through mine and see if I can find it in my code. I know I've got it somewhere. Let's switch us from so you know what? Let's have a look. iHost builder. Central component that hosts. Got it. Generalization of the previous iWeb host, but fulfills basically the same task. It starts configured hosted services and makes sure that your app is running and working. Yeah. Okay, so let's comment that for now. Alright, where's my other project? Interactive 7, where are you? So this used a web host. Is this an older version or something? Is that why? Yeah, because I need to use startup on this, basically, is what I'm looking for. That's what I want to find, is use startup. I'm not going to create a new project right now. Do they give us... I'm hoping that they point us at the sample one that they used for this. When I click on this. Please go to the sample project. Nope. You don't show me the sample project from here? There's no way to get to the sample project? Really? ASP.NET Core Web API template. Hang on one second. Ah, you found it. There it is. Excellent. Thanks, Simon. I know it's in here somewhere. It's... What? Did I forget the dot here or something? Nope. Yeah, see? You're telling me. I don't have that anymore. Oh. I am missing a using. Why didn't Resharper get me that then? Yeah, see? But I don't have the ASP.NET Core stuff in here because I forgot to include it. That's what I'm really missing. Kevin, welcome! Greetings, Raiders! Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. Welcome. We are doing some WPF.NET Core stuff right now. So welcome. Yeah, exactly, Simon. I now need to, like, that's what I was forgetting, is that I have to include ASP.NET Core, which I should be able to include this way. So greetings, welcome. I will explain the project. Give me 1 second. I want to wire up. Why I don't. Why do I not have it here? Why didn't I need it there? Oh, because referencing it over there. ADC, welcome. Yes, DevChatter think indeed. Welcome, Raiders. Coming in from Kevin's stream. I'll give a brief explanation of what we were working on before we jump too much further into this. Let me comment that out and comment this out just so that we don't have broken stuff and I can run the application. So on our channel here, we have built a number of bots over the years of streaming. Our bots have done various different stuff from being able to just interact with chat with some games, fun, basic commands, other things like that. That's our general bot here on the stream. But then we've also built bots that do things like control the colors on the layout here. So, yay, it's yellow. And these bots are basically, I have to run a few bots when I start up my stream. Additionally, there are custom bots all over the place. So essentially what we want to do is we are building this new bot, which is this one. So funny enough, it's like, hey, there's 20 standards, let's create a new standard. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. But the idea with this one is, ooh, see, I broke that. Well, that's fine. The idea with the bot, which we're in the middle of changing all the configuration and structure of the bot right now, so it's kind of broken. I was hoping I could run it a little bit just to show you what's going on with it. But the essentially the idea is we're going to build a bot that has a goal of being able to import modules from various other bots. So I have built code for my bot. I've built code for my other custom bot. My other custom bot. I have built code that is built into Streamlabs chatbot. I have built code for other streamers into their bots as well. And the idea is that we want to be able to take those and just support all that custom stuff that we built over in this one. So instead of having to run 3 different bots, you can run one bot. So that's kind of the idea. Which now that I think about it, maybe we should call it one bot. But that name's probably taken already. The thing that gets difficult with naming chatbots is that we also have to compete with like physical bots. Yeah, one bot would be an awesome name. I agree. Like, that would be good. But I have a feeling if I even Google at all, that this is taken. Yeah, see? And I knew it. I knew that it would be some physical bot somewhere. But I think based on the fact that we might be able to get away with. So there's an electric bite. There's yeah. That's a really strange name for a bike. Anyway, we actually might be able to get away with it. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea. We could Omnibot or something like that, but again, like those types of names are all taken. OneBot, Omnibot, all these things are going to be taken. But yes, if you have name suggestions, feel free to toss them over in our Discord, which I'll link over there. If you're not in our Discord, do check it out. The DevChatter community is a really, really good and friendly community. Okay, so I need to include the Microsoft hosting Nuget package, so let's hop over here, and that's Nuget. There we go. That's old. Is that really how old that is? Is that really the one that I want? What is this? Welcome. Thank you for that follow. Much appreciated. Where is this? Toastmaster. Yeah, that's what we're doing. But where's the... Oh, okay. So it was just a second parameter on that when I tried this one before. Yes. Okay. Sweet. We'll do this for now. And we'll ignore the web piece for the time being. We still do need to solve that web piece, though. Not optional. Yeah, content root of the application. Yep, that looks right. This could be all the application settings. There we go. Yes, exactly. Is that... Did I not do that in i7? Did I do this in i7? Is this what I did? Nope. That is not how I did it there. Did I do that in my other one? Maybe. Okay, that'll work. Let's have a look at what I did with this. So this, I wired in this piece. How do I want to store a byte array? Okay, so let's call it entropy. So let's create a constructor for this. I either need a constructor for this or I need a factory for this, one or the other. Let's get rid of this. We're just going to say entropy is... Can string take a byte array? No. Interwebs. I know there's an easy way to do this. Byte array to string. You need to tell it like what kind it is. Because we got to tell it the encoding to use. So encoding dots. Sure, we'll UTF-8 it, because it doesn't really matter. So I want to get the string from the bytes, which is going to be get salt with the salt length limit. And then that's our string. That's a bit personal there. Oh. Don't, yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep. There you go. I guess that had to happen. Guess we can make this a const. So we will have in 32 generate a salt, so get non-zero bytes. And that will then be used to create this entropy string. And let's make a byte array out of this. So get bytes from the entropy string. We'll just put that together. Not like super awesome. Let's see. So the funny thing is, we actually got an exception here when using the rock paper scissors. Is funny. So did rock, which I'm assuming broke rock paper scissors in some capacity. Well, maybe it's still working. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know if rock paper scissors is going to work right, but good luck to you. The fact that it threw an exception doesn't make it all that promising. So salt bytes. AFK. Tips for learning C#. My main suggestion to anyone learning any programming language is get a side project that you're interested and you think is going to be fun. And the reason I suggest that is it gives you something to work on that you won't get bored of. Some other suggestions, just general stuff, there's a lot of content for learning C#. So if you are interested, try not to be overwhelmed by how many different ways there are to do the same thing, but just learn the ones that you want to learn at first, and then, expand from there. So feel free to dive in, but don't let it get too intimidating. And good try, Simon. You've been working with C# for over 6 months, but there are some things you can do to help you figure some of that out. As I said, there's a lot of stuff in C#, so it is very broad. So try not to get discouraged if you feel like there are things that you have not picked up yet. Part of that is because there really is a lot of stuff to C#. A lot of stuff. Settings file. I don't think that's the right one. There you go. JSON configuration file. That's the one we want. That is not the data we want in there, but that's fine. Excuse me. Entropy. There's not a lot in C#, but there's more than... I mean, it depends on what you mean by how long did it, define learn C#. So I have been using C# for about 15 years. So I have a really good grasp on C#, and I've been teaching it for a long time. But as Border mentions there, you never stop learning. So I learn new stuff about C# on a regular basis. There's always more that I don't know. That being said, I do know a reasonable amount about the inner workings of C#. But again, that's going to vary based on the developer and how much they know about any given thing, because it's going to come down to your interest and your experience on things. So that's why I said just try not to be overwhelmed by it. You don't need to know everything in the language to be able to work with it well. So I've always liked the people do circles that are in a Venn diagram kind of thing, and the idea is that even if someone else seems to know all kinds of things you don't know, you probably know something that they don't know. Yes, as Border mentions there, imposter syndrome is really a significant thing in our industry, and one of the great things that a lot of us try to point out is, even after so many years, you'll notice that I make sure that people see me Googling for all kinds of documentation bits, syntax, other stuff like that, because I've used it before. I know that there is a thing that does what I'm looking for, but I don't keep in my brain all the syntax for every library and everything that I would need to know in order to program in C#. So exactly, as Simon mentions, learn enough to be able to do the job, and then do the job and search and learn more as you do it. So you don't need to know everything, though. Okay. So the question is, if I type in Salty McSaltface into there, and I wire up In our app, XAML CS, I did this, and I said application settings. Something else should be able to take this in. So let's go to our main view model. And we're going to add I options of that. And drop a breakpoint there. And we'll have a look to see if I totally messed this up or not. Helpful stranger. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. 100% yes. Every programmer that you have ever talked with about anything goes searching for everything. We all do. So how many times have you looked up the arguments for date time format today? If you say 0, you're lying. Yeah, no. If you say 0, that means you didn't work with date time formatting that day, APOC Dev. And actually, or you only had... So I don't have to look it up for like month, day, year, but like if I'm getting more complicated than that, I usually look it up just to make sure that I don't mess it up for like which ones are capital and lower. So like I know that month is capital and minute is lowercase, for example, on the M's. But yeah, like exactly what they are that's for like the custom one. But if you wanted to do the ones for like the like default versions of various strings, which work better with culture stuff, then yes, you need to look them up because I don't remember them all. Learn the basics of the language, learn dependency injection, understand the ways of programming stuff. Yes, exactly. Yep. The first programs you write will more than likely resemble spaghetti code, but over time you'll learn proper organization. Probably one of the few industries. Yes. Yeah, so and so Simon hit on the exact point, which there is still a significant difference, and it is that the in time you will learn to Google better for the stuff that you're trying to find. So you might have noticed something that I was talking about where I said I knew what to Google for because I'd already used it, so I knew it existed. So one of the big things in the programming industry is you need to know that something exists that solves your problem, and then you can just search for it again to look it up. So you don't need to know it, you just need to know where to find it. Okay, the config was not found. Okay. Config file was not getting deployed. Whoops. That was supposed to be never. It's supposed to be none and deploy. So this. Stop it, Visual Studio. You're killing me here. Copy of newer. There we go. That's what I meant to do, but it kept taking away all my controls from me. Yes, the hard thing is knowing what to ask. Yep. Yep, you need to know all the things that you can do. You don't need to know how to do them. Okay, there we go. What is inside of settings? It is value, right? Yep. And there is Salty McSaltface. So it looks like it is wired up correctly. Salt bites. There they are. That works. I don't actually want those there, but I just wanted to make sure that we'd actually gotten that wired up, which it appears to be. So this is adding in the configuration aside from that last thing, which we're not doing yet. So let's remove it. Okay, so that is adding the configuration, so... adding salt as in config. And yes, I know we can store it somewhere else. Conversation from earlier. Alright, so there we go, that's the start of our adding this into TwitchLib. Just going reasonably well. Okay, what else did we have on the list? So, we sort of have our configuration. We don't have the ASP.NET Core site running yet. This is starting to add the TwitchLib, but I don't want to... So, just a heads up, the reason why we're not adding the TwitchLib connection yet is because I need to go and do the OAuth connection piece. So, I will probably do that off-stream and point everyone to my example of doing that elsewhere. What is this? Hey, what is going on? Oh, yes, HTTP Client Factory. Yes, different topic of discussion. Yes. Yep. So Microsoft put out a different recommended way of getting HTTP clients. So it's a reasonable solution there. There are full articles in the document, in the official Microsoft documentation, explaining that you should probably dig into. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to do the Twitch OAuth piece outside of the stream, and then the rest we'll do on the stream, probably. Okay, so I am going to wrap up our stream here today. It has been a fun one. I think we've made some good progress. We're in a branch right now, but our main core project right now in the main branch is actually doing pretty well. Helpful Stranger, thank you very much for that follow, much appreciated. If anyone else is in the chat and has been enjoying our stream and discussions at all, if you haven't clicked the follow button, be sure to do so, as it is the best way to get notified when we go live here on the Twitch stream. As I mentioned, I am the host of the channel, but we have a pretty awesome community over in our Discord, and that must have been what the error was that was over in my bot. So Julian, thank you very much for that follow, much appreciated. I am going to go ahead and restart our other bot just so that it is up and running and I can click some links out there. But what I wanted to say is we are back to our usual schedule. That being said, because I still have work and other life stuff going on, I am canceling the occasional stream. But our general schedule for anyone that is new here is Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. The stream starts in the middle of my day for the most part. I'm in the U.S., so on Mondays and Tuesdays, the stream starts at 2 o'clock my time. That is about 11 o'clock if you're in the west coast of the US. If you're over in, say, Europe, I will translate to UTC, which means a start time of about like 1800 UTC during the summer. So that's like, 6 p.m. for our UK viewers, for example. The Thursday streams start a couple of hours early, and the Saturday streams start 1 hour early. So whatever time I told for you, just subtract a couple of hours for Thursday and 1 hour for Saturday. We're going to be doing some more of this on some of these streams. And again, so the link to the Discord's over there, as same with our GitHub. If you want to contribute to this project, you can check it out there. We have full archives of all of our videos going back to 2.5 years ago when the stream started going as a regular thing. And I will toss out a link to my Twitter there as well. The projects we are working on, we're also going to be still working on Interactive 7, which is our program that gives Twitch chat control of the Final Fantasy VII game. We're going to be doing some more stuff with that because I want to wrap up the feature that we're doing on that, build a new release of it, and make that available to our current beta testing streams. So we have a few Twitch streamers that use our Interactive 7 application, and that is just a program that they're able to just spin up on their local machine that connects into their Final Fantasy VII instance and lets chat basically mess with them through the whole game. It's a lot of fun. Also, two other things that I want to mention, that we're going to be going back to our Evercraft kata one of these days and doing some more work on that. That is a essentially a programming kata that Guy Royce and George Walters the second worked on, created like a decade ago. It's a really good kata that I had not done before, even though I've known of it that entire time. And we are going to be going back and working on that some more. And lastly, I want to mention that I do want to try to get Guy Royce either going on his stream or him coming on ours, so that we can continue our series of building inefficient data structures in JavaScript. Which is a series that, if you haven't checked out, is over on the YouTube channel. There's a playlist for it over there. Basically, we were just building common data structures that people, that it's useful to know how they work, and we were just hacking them together with TDD and JavaScript. So if you wanna check that out, those are over on our YouTube channel, and there's a lot of other interesting stuff over there as well, including the DevChatter Basics series. So for any of the people that are beginner C# programmers, or even if you just want to refresh some of the foundation stuff, those are over there as well. So I will see you all next time. I'm going to roll our credits before we take off, though. So let me close that and run that. So I want to make sure that I thank everybody who was hanging out with us today. I really do appreciate it. I want to make sure I thank our moderators, Mr. Shoji and Stoolpenner, for helping to keep the chat going today. I want to thank these wonderful people who followed us. If you are one of those people that clicked the follow button, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at our next stream. And I want to thank our resubs from Mr. Shoji and ADC. So thanks to both of you for resubbing to the channel. I really do appreciate it, mostly in the fact that it says that you really like what we're doing here, and you like our emotes as much as I do. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out today. I will see you all on Thursday for our next stream. I think that one's happening. I can't think of a reason why that one's not happening. So take care, everyone. Happy coding. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye.